Welcome to the Royal Court of Chaos. Think reality TV is juicy? Try sitting through a Tudor Thanksgiving or a Bourbon family reunion. From medieval breakups that make Love Island look tame to throne-stealing betrayals that out-drama The Bachelor, history's royals served us scandals that even Netflix couldn't script. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe for more laugh-out-loud history lessons and bizarre facts that make you grateful you're not a monarch. Now, grab your crowns and popcorn. It's about to get regal and ridiculous. 1. Henry VIII, the original Bachelor. Move over. Chris Harrison. Henry VIII was hosting The Bachelor centuries before it aired, except instead of roses, he handed out annulments and axes. 6 wives entered his court, and only 2 managed to leave with their heads intact. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. That's not just a mnemonic, it's the tagline for the world's bloodiest dating show. Henry was infamous for changing wives faster than teenagers changed TikTok trends. His first wife, Catherine of Aragon, was booted because she couldn't produce a male heir. Anne Boleyn? Beheaded for allegedly flirting with the court jester, among other things. And then there was Anne of Cleves, who got off lightly because Henry decided she wasn't hot enough for him after seeing her portrait. Imagine a Tinder swipe left, but with a royal annulment. Henry's drama was so messy that even his kids, Edward, Mary, and Elizabeth, couldn't agree on what religion England should follow. 2. Marie Antoinette, the queen of cancel culture. If Twitter existed in the 1700s, Marie Antoinette would have been the original #canceled. Known for her lavish spending and infamous, but misattributed phrase, "Let them eat cake." The Queen of France was like the Kardashian of her day, minus the reality show empire and +1 guillotine. Marie's reign was a financial disaster, mostly because she spent the kingdom's money like a teenager let loose with a no-limit credit card. Palaces, parties, and powdered wigs were her vibe. Meanwhile, the peasants were starving. When the revolution came knocking, Marie tried to flee France dressed as a commoner. Spoiler alert, the Louis Vuitton luggage and entourage didn't help her blend in. By the end of her reign, she was dethroned, imprisoned, and finally executed. 3. Cleopatra and the Roman love triangle. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen, she was the ultimate drama queen. Her romantic escapades with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were so wild, they make love and hip-hop look like a bedtime story. First, Cleopatra rolled herself into a carpet to meet Julius Caesar. Talk about making an entrance. She then charmed him into a relationship that kept Egypt independent for a hot minute. But when Caesar was assassinated, on the Ides of March no less, Cleopatra turned her attention to Mark Antony, Caesar's buddy and one of Rome's most powerful men. The two embarked on a whirlwind romance that made headlines across the ancient world. Their relationship ended in tragedy, with both committing suicide after losing a battle to Octavian, later Augustus Caesar. Antony fell on his sword, while Cleopatra famously used a venomous snake. Shakespeare couldn't make this stuff up, except he did. 4. Elizabeth I versus Mary, Queen of Scots. Cousin goals. Imagine Thanksgiving dinner if your cousin was actively plotting your demise. That's basically the vibe between Elizabeth I of England and Mary, Queen of Scots. These two queens shared the same bloodline, but had wildly different agendas. Mary fled to England seeking Elizabeth's protection after being ousted from her throne. Instead of a warm welcome, Elizabeth threw her in jail for 19 years. The real kicker? Elizabeth eventually signed Mary's death warrant, accusing her of conspiring to assassinate her. Mary went to her execution dressed like she was attending the Met Gala, proving that even in death, royals had to serve looks. If reality TV had existed back then, this would have been Keeping Up with the Tudors, Family Feud edition. 5. The Sun King's scandalous court. Louis XIV of France, aka the Sun King, turned his palace at Versailles into the most scandalous hotspot in Europe. Think Jersey Shore, but with powdered wigs, corsets, and duels at dawn. The king had a never-ending stream of mistresses, and the court was rife with jealousy, betrayal, and backstabbing. His most famous mistress, Madame de Montespan, was accused of dabbling in black magic and poisoning rivals to keep her spot as Louis's main squeeze. Naturally, there were no eliminations or confessionals, but we can all agree this drama deserved a spin-off. 6. Ivan the Terrible, the ultimate family drama. Ivan IV of Russia earned his nickname the Terrible, not because he was a bad ruler, although he had his moments, but because his temper tantrums were next-level horrifying. In one infamous incident, Ivan killed his own son in a fit of rage during an argument. The guilt didn't stop him from continuing his reign of terror, which included massacres, torturing enemies, and even creating a secret police force called the Oprichnina. 7. Queen Victoria's dysfunctional brood. Queen Victoria may have been the model of propriety, but her children were walking soap operas. The Victorian era was marked by scandals, rivalries, and enough drama to fill an entire season of Downton Abbey. Her eldest son, Edward VII, was known for his wild partying and love affairs. Meanwhile, her daughters squabbled over marriage prospects. Nothing says family goals like dividing Europe into two hostile camps. 8. The Spanish Armada of paternity scandals. Philip IV of Spain fathered so many illegitimate children that historians still debate the exact number. The king's affairs were an open secret, and many of his offspring ended up with cushy positions at court. Spain's court was essentially Maury Povich meets the crown. 9. The Bourbon brothers, Louis XVI versus the guillotine. Louis XVI and his wife Marie Antoinette weren't just bad at budgeting, they were also terrible at reading the room. As the French Revolution loomed, they kept throwing extravagant parties and ignoring the rising tide of anger among the commoners. When things finally boiled over, Louis tried to flee disguised as a servant. But let's be real, a king in a powdered wig isn't exactly inconspicuous. He and Marie were arrested and executed, proving that even in the royal world, bad decisions have consequences. 10. The Windsor love scandal. Closer to modern times, we have King Edward VIII, who abdicated the throne for love. Sounds romantic, right? Well, his American divorcee girlfriend, Wallis Simpson, was a controversial figure, and their relationship sparked a constitutional crisis. The whole affair played out like a royal episode of 90 Day Fiancé, with Edward choosing love over duty. He passed the throne to his brother, George VI, whose daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, would go on to become one of the longest reigning monarchs in history. Conclusion: if you thought the drama of The Real Housewives or Survivor was intense, just remember, these royals were pulling off plot twists and betrayals long before TV was even a thing. Their stories remind us that no matter how fabulous life might seem, drama is universal, even for kings and queens. Want more royal scandals, bizarre history facts, and all-around entertainment? Subscribe now and join us for the next wild adventure through history's most outrageous moments. Long live the drama.